the achievement gap. I don't think you are, because you need to look at the economically disadvantaged. They're the ones that tell you the true picture. So the No Child Left Behind is still with us, and it's a major problem for school districts and for teachers, because teachers that are trapped in those schools, if you want to say that, that are trying their best to raise test scores for a lot of English language learners in the schools, a lot of poor students. They're having to work just incredibly long hours. They have to do a lot of extra in-service because they're in these PI schools. And so I think we need to give some relief. And again, where there's going to be money, there isn't going to be money. So we just have to hope that school districts and under maybe some county leadership that we can just come up with some plans that are going to work differently, because we have to think out of the box. The traditional way of doing things right now in this economic climate is just not going to work. And so we need to start being a little more forward-thinking and be willing to take some risks and do some things and work with people that say, hey, we're not here to gut your program, but we need to deliver it in a different fashion, and we need to be able to have sufficient funds to continue it forward.
Thank you. Joseph?
No Child Left Behind needs to be scrapped. I would advocate for that at every step of the way, and any opportunity that I have in a public forum if elected to serve. Because what we have now is we have children that too many schools are having children try to perform better on filling in bubbles on a test. And that is not something we do as adults. So I believe in accountability, but filling in bubbles does not make us more accountable. We have to have students with skills, real world skills, writing skills, communication skills, oral speaking skills, thinking skills. We need to find ways to assess those on a statewide basis for our accountability to the public. So we need to rethink No Child Left Behind fully and totally. It is the wrong thing for children. I also think the county could put together, through the Center for Educational Planning, which is part of the County Office of Education, an arts performance index. Since we have an academic performance index, well, I want to see in this county how disparate arts education is for the public school student. I was principal in Palo Alto. I was principal in Gilroy. When you compare those two areas in the same county, it's morally bankrupt what the children of Gilroy have as an opportunity in the arts compared to what the children in Palo Alto have in the arts. Public schools. So I would love to see how we could have this arts performance index and really get out to the public what school districts are doing so different, because I think children need the fullness of an American education, which includes music and performing arts and the panoply of arts. And we are not there. Because we're filling in so many bubbles, we have gutted arts from some of our neediest schools and neediest children, and it is wrong. As far as improving underperforming schools, I brought into Dr. Weiss in our meeting in August the county website. And I said, here's a printout from your instructional services. Is it division, Gary? Is it what is it?
Yeah,
division?
there's a separate division.
Okay, instructional services division. None of if the achievement gap is so critical, which we believe around this table it is, then why is the county on the website for instructional services not connecting the dots? It's just an array of services that don't connect in any way. So if that's an issue, let's connect the dots. So me as principal in a school in Santa Clara County working on the achievement gap could say, oh, I could get these services from the county office. Here are the way the dots are connect. But we don't have that today. That we could improve, low cost, and we could do it better.
Thank you very much. Gary?
Yes. Well, listen, I understand Joe's sentiment about eliminating No Child Left Behind. Unfortunately, that can't happen. Federal funding, which comes to education through Title I, is reauthorized every 6 years. It's supposed to be 6 years. Unfortunately, this one has slipped beyond. And this particular reauthorization that was done back in 2001 was called No Child Left Behind. We must do it again, otherwise Title I funds go away. But there are philosophically some problems with it. I mean, we've certainly learned some things. Number one, it set an absolute target as opposed to a growth target for schools. That's a mistake. Philosophically, it is impossible for all schools to hit 100%. But listen, accountability is important. Keeping track of performance, keeping track of the numbers, so to speak, is absolutely critical. But in the way it's been done, it's created too narrow a focus on education in specific areas, and unfortunately has crowded out some other areas, like the arts, and for that matter, social science and social studies and others, perhaps focusing too much just on reading and math. So there are some philosophical problems with it, and obviously the next administration is going to have to deal with that. So it's going to stay. But listen, in light of all of that, there are some things that the county can do. Through the Instructional Services Group, they've created a program called School Plan. And what School Plan is it's a program in which to load data and to analyze how schools are doing. So for those that are the most underperforming, we have the opportunity to help them. And it's really a group from our Instructional Services Group who can go into these schools and work with them. As a matter of fact, we do that today. I think there are some improvements that we can make in how that's done, and I think we can expand it further. But the most interesting thing Dr. Weiss has identified is we're not doing it for our own schools. So we're actually already rolling out the use of School Plan as a tool to improve schools in our own alternative programs and in our special ed programs. So we're excited about that. It is a tool that works, and so listen, let's all hope that when the new administration comes in place that we can solve some of these philosophical problems and get back to a realistic sort of growth model, continuous improvement. I think that's where we're going.
So let's talk about charter schools, which is the board. The office has an appellate role of hearing appeals of rejections at the district level, and this county takes the position, which not all districts agree, is that through memorandums of understanding it can change the work with the applicants to modify or improve the application. It's not an up or down vote. And so I see that as a preface, and I wanted to know each of your views towards charter schools, whether or not you feel that the county office has taken the right approach, and if you think that in your observations you may have disagreed with any of the decisions that the county board has made. And Joseph, in particular, I read in the Mercury News where we were quoted saying charters bleed the strength of the public schools and needs to go carefully, and I wonder if you would include that in your answer.
Sure, absolutely, John. It's a very complex subject. You know, we need to improve public schools in America, in Santa Clara County. One way to do that is by chartering schools that may be a beacon of light for others to see how it could work. An example of that is South Bay Prep, which I wrote a column about, very much in favor of the chartering of South Bay Prep. And Gary did a very nice job with his work when I went to attend that board meeting, with seeing and navigating, even though the county recommendation by staff was not to charter South Bay Prep. He was instrumental in getting a delay of the board's decision that was going to happen that evening, and finally chartering them at the next meeting. So I was in favor of that. But I do think the comment about bleeding, here's what you have when you have schools like Rocket Ship and you have other charter schools. You have really committed staff, teachers, that gravitate towards an organization that's going to be smaller. Charters are usually much smaller than their sister public school. And they attract these people that have these certificated teachers that have a heart to do whatever they can to see students succeed. If we take too many of those, we need that in every school in Santa Clara County, those teachers that want to work, those 10 and 11-hour days to see that every student succeeds, no student fails. If we do that, we could change the quality of life in this county. But we don't have that at the present time. So every time